What is happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back, and we're talking transfer news today. It's going to be a little bit of a bumper edition in terms of names today. Missed the day yesterday, but I was busy. I was elsewhere occupied, which I'll talk about in just a second. We're going to speak about Johnny Rowe. We're going to speak about Willy Gnonto, a little bit about Lubicic, Rak-Sakyi, and of course Hugo Bueno. We're going to speak about those in a bit more detail later. So yeah, there's a bit to get to today. So before I continue, though, please like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and of course drop your thoughts and comments below. Thank you to Malcolm, Patrick, and Mr. P for the super thanks on the last couple of videos. Thank you for that. And thank you to Polly Cummings, who's become a member of the channel. Shout out to all the members, the people that go the extra mile for myself, and appreciate the work I do. So thank you for your support. And if you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description, or it's next to the subscribe button called join. So listen, people. Yeah, the Johnny Rose stuff was yesterday, but I missed it because I was at Gladiators. I was at the Gladiators taping. And shout out to the lovely family that I met there as well that recognized me, and we just had a brief chat while I was in the Starbucks queue. So shout out to you, and I hope you enjoyed the Gladiators experience yesterday, and I hope you're over your sickness. Your sickness has to be done. Has to be done. Sometimes we got to take a sick day to attend the Gladiators taping. But yeah, so much fun. Long day though, long day. But yeah, whole lot of fun. I love those Gladiators tapings, and yeah, I felt the power of the Gladiators yesterday. But that's the reason why I was absent yesterday. But I'm back today, people. Absolutely back. Good morning to We Are Leeds. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for you. And listen, thank you to all the people in the chat at the moment. Morning, noon, night. You know how it goes, people. See, listen. We could have started on Johnny Rowe, but obviously we had some breaking news earlier this morning. It was a press release, obviously, from Leeds United to send out to the local journalists and other journalists around the country in regards to Willy Gnonto. And it was that Willy Gnonto has had a bid rejected for him by from Everton of around 23 million. Leeds are hopeful that he will stay and that he is in prime position to take over the Somerville role, which I've already said would be perfect because that was his role when he was in the Premier League. But it came out at the same time. Obviously, it was a press release, and I got, obviously you get messages and comments and everything else like that. Oh, the 49ers doing this. So let's speak about it, people. Let's speak about it. The one thing that I've always said is that I don't need to know everything that's going on at the football club. I actually like the close shop approach that we take. I like that we don't, put our business out there as much as it's frustrating from a content point of not having things to speak about that's on the record. It's all just, mainly guesswork and everything else like that. I much prefer it that way. That's how you should do business. That's how the best clubs in the world do business. But for a lot of people, they want to know, what's happening at the football club, and that's cool. So when this news came out this morning, it didn't seem to appease a lot of people, that Willy Gnonto is obviously going to have interest in him, and that the bid was rejected. They took the news from, I'm just generalizing the comments I got and saying that, oh, they're putting him in the shop window. They're saying that it's 23, so that clubs know that that's not going to do it, and that they need to offer more. And I mean, you can have that approach, I guess, but I would have thought it was just the 49ers and Leeds United just putting out some news, in light of the Somerville thing where an exit clause was met, and just trying to let the fans know, look, it's not a fire sale. Not everyone's for sale for cheap. We are trying to keep hold of players where possible. And from all the reports I've read, is that Willy Gnonto's happy to stay. He hasn't kicked up a fuss like everyone thought he would if we reject a bid for him. He's happy to be, it looks like he's happy to be this year's Somerville in terms of trying his best to be the main man of the team and help get us up. So I thought that's the way I took it. Now, obviously, Willy Gnonto is still a hot commodity, and if there is still going to be interest in him, there still will be bids. But what Leeds are saying, much like the Archie Gray scenario, is that we hope he's here. If he's here, great, but we can't guarantee anything. And it would be naive as well from the 49ers to say, no matter what, as we sit now on the 6th of August, that we are keeping Gnonto, keeping Jorginho, just to then, have an unbelievable bid at the end of the transfer window, and then he's sold. Because then you really get, not moaning people, but you get the skeptical people really saying, we knew it. Yes, they said this one thing, and look, they've done another. At this point, They've just said, look, Willie Gnonto is staying at this time. We haven't had a bid that's suitable. And the other thing as well was in regards to the Somerville thing, yeah, Somerville 25, Gnonto 23, but they've rejected the 23 for Gnonto. But there's other things to factor in the Gnonto thing. He does not have a release clause in his contract that we know of. So there's that. There's also that there's Zurich to pay as well. They're going to be owed a bit of the transfer fee. So we're going to need a little bit more on top of whatever we think is worth. So there's different factors, but I'm interested to get you guys' thoughts on this because a lot of people just they want news, but then when they get it, that's not the news I want. It's like, well, what is it that you're actually after? That's the question that I've got for you guys. Uh Truthler here saying I've seen fans claim that they are asset stripping, that they are taking dividends with all no real evidence. I would hate to be a club owner. Yeah. I mean, you could say it's because of the previous years of ownership we've had, but I think that it's not a like for like scenario, but that would be like having bad relationships in real life, and then going to a new partner, and then just thinking they're just going to be a shady or whatever it is to you, just because the other three were. I think you've got to go into every scenario with a fresh perspective, new eyes, give people a chance. And at this point in time, the 49ers have, Enterprise have done nothing to say, oh, what are these guys doing? They've done everything the best they can in terms of the constraints they're working with from the previous ownership. And I'm not saying everything they've done is perfect by any means, but I think they've done everything for the betterment of the football club. Some would say keeping Daniel Farker isn't. I get that, Chris King and that crew. But I just don't get this thing. And also as well, the 49ers stripping all the assets in the championship wouldn't make much sense, because the assets would be of value to the football club if they were looking to sell it on. So it would be a lot more valuable, say, with Jorginho, Willy Gnonto in it, rather than them selling it on for a value that they're probably not even worth at this time. So yeah, I know there's always going to be doubters at this point. We've even got Ellen Rowe back on the quiet, in full ownership under the Leeds United umbrella. I, I, I just didn't get the skepticism, because if we didn't get this news about Willie Gnonto, the same people would be saying, "Oh, I bet they're going to accept a bid of 20 million for Willie Gnonto." But now you've got the news that they've rejected one for 23. It's still not enough. But that's what I'm saying. You can't please everybody. You can't please everybody, can you? So people are going to say what they're going to say regardless. So Ming in the house saying, yeah, the phrase never happy comes to mind. Yeah, you're just going to get that, especially with kind of a jaded football fan base as well, especially when one of the best players has just been sold, or if not the best player. So yeah, it is going to happen. But yeah, I'm happy with this in terms of Willie Gnonto. For me, he's the easily the first choice out and out left winger. And if we get to keep him by the end of the window, that's a big win for Leeds United. There's no noises that he wants to leave. And if anyone is telling you, it's just people that are just bitter from last year, and I'm just going to put it that way. I don't care how it sounds. They're just bitter from last year, because these people have never made mistakes in their lives. They're all perfect. Yeah, these people are all perfect. But yet there's been no noises from Willie Gnonto or his new camp that he wants to leave. And in fact, it's more the opposite, that he wants to be one of the main players here. Um, Nothing at the moment. Not oh yeah, we will be speaking about Hugo Bueno in just a bit, but we're going to speak about that along with Rak-Sakyi in just a moment. But yeah, so there you go with the Willy Gnonto thing. Drop your thoughts in the comments about what you think it could mean. I'm sure everyone's got a different interpretation of it. Very interested to hear it. But in regards to that as well, obviously yesterday the news was dropped about Johnny Rowe and Leeds United's interest in him. And he's going to be another one that's probably going to be the supplement to Willy Gnonto for. So we're about to offer 7 million for Jonathan Rowe, which by all accounts from the Norwich side is going to be rejected. So I always think with that though, if you've heard that the bid is more likely to be rejected, then why put it in? Why not just put it a little bit higher? But what I would say is, if we were to get a deal done for Jonathan Rowe, which is below 10 million, that would be good business, very good business, because he's someone I can see competing with Willy Gnonto. He doesn't start over him for me outright. He'll have to work his way into that position, because he's not a better player than Willy Gnonto on any scale of it, when it comes to technique, when it comes to composure, when it comes to the defensive side of work. Jonathan Rowe is actually still kind of very raw, and he's still a young guy, 21 years old. And there's a lot of potential to work with with that player. but he's not better than Willy Gnonto. So what you're doing is you're getting in a winger at a good price, actually, that can help out the squad. And if you think about the options there, if we're not having to play Gnonto and you've got Johnny Rowan, that's not too bad, is it, people? But we'll see what kind of price we're going with. I mean, listen, I've seen things going up to 15. That makes me, freeze a little bit more because the player does have a year on his contract, although Norwich can trigger another year, which they could do just to get his value up. So I can see that scenario happening. We've seen that with other players in the past. But yeah, I mean, it just depends then if how much money's left to strengthen the rest of the team, because we still haven't heard anything else from the whole Lubicic thing. If we're going to go back in for a more improved bid for that, we're going to wait and see for that. But then I also think as well, if you're going to spend, in the double figures for a player, Jordan James for me would be the one. This kid can play in central midfield, attacking midfield, off the left, maybe not to the way that Jonathan Rowe plays, but he's all rounder, good passer of the ball, gets stuck in, eye for goal. And I'm just thinking, if you're going to spend a good amount of money on something what you hope will translate to the Premier League, and maybe Rowe can. But for me, it's a little bit more up in the air with Rowe. But with Jordan James, I do think he can translate to the Premier League. And if he gets another year under his belt at a club like Leeds United, it's only for the better. Only for the better, man. Michael, just in regards from the Gnonto thing, bit out of character from the 49ers to release this info, so they are not so rigid in their business ups, it seems. Yeah, look, what the 49ers are, they're an American business ownership, and American sports is way different from the Premier League, from English football, way different. And they're going to find that out. They would have already known that, through their background dealings before. But obviously, when you're the head, you're the forefront of the operation, it's even worse. And they will have seen the noise from the Somerville thing. They're not blind. They have people that work in comms and everything else. They know what's going on. They get the temperature. So they would have seen that and said, you know what? We've got we know this. We've got this news. Let's release it to the press, just to say that we're not just accepting every bid for our players. Let it out there. Hopefully that quells people's fears. But what they don't know is that those same people will then say, well, this isn't enough news. Give us more. Say he's not for sale, and then he's not for sale. You just can't operate like that. It's unrealistic, people. But that's the problem with football fans in general. Some are just not realistic in what happens in the real world of football. But yeah, I hear it, Michael. Yeah, Chris saying James is so obvious it hurts. It's a slam dunk. And the thing is, even for Chris King, he would probably agree with this, Chris, is that he's Welsh. It fits in with Daniel Farker's profile of what he likes in a player, Welsh steel. And he really is one of those kind of players as well, where he gets stuck into stuff. Like, he's got an elegant touch about him, but he will get stuck in and do all the dirty stuff. And it honestly, it just makes so much sense, this kind of signing. But going back to Jonathan Rowe, if we are to get this deal done, let's hope that we can get it done. What are we on today? Tuesday? Wouldn't it be nice to get this done before the Portsmouth game? Or get one of the others done, Lubicic done, or a left back in. Get something done before the first game of the season, just to flesh out the squad a bit more. And I get this as well. One thing I want to say as well about Jonathan Rowe, I've seen the quote. I've actually seen him say that thing about the grounds he loves to play at, and the best atmospheres and what it would be like to be on the other side. I just ask this to people, and this is where I say everybody's a hypocrite, and just choose your hypocrisies. It's fine. Everyone is. I'm a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Don't fight it. But when he's saying that, and people are saying, "Oh, see, he loves Ellen Road, and he's a potentially good player. Bring him in. He'll do for me." Let me ask you: if Brendan Aronson, who's not the flavor of the month at this football club at this moment in time, if Brendan Aronson was to say, we know Brendan Aronson's a Liverpool fan, so that goes without saying there. If he says Anfield, Old Trafford, and then St. James's Park, what an atmosphere. Oh, imagine being on the other side of that while he's a contracted Leeds player. How are you guys reacting to that? Hmm? I'll ask you that. How are you reacting to Brendan Aronson? I'm not going to ask you about players that you love, because you'll give him excuses like Bamford, like, oh, yeah, Bamford could say that. Oh, Bammy, you're my number 9. But if it's Aronson, yeah. Oh, that St. James's atmosphere is just special, man. Imagine being on the other side of that. Yeah. It wouldn't go down very well, but that's what I'm saying. it's all right when it suits us, but when it goes against us, it's like, oh, bad attitude, oh, terrible. Can't say that. Um, but yeah, but listen, that whole quote thing, yeah, I mean that's great and everything, but it's more for me, it's never about stuff like that. I don't care about the whole, what you've got to say about Ellen Road and that I mean that suits certain people, but you've got to be a good player. And there is a good player in Jonathan Rowe. There's a lot of holes in his game though that I think would frustrate a few people. He's got to do a bit more on the overall pressing side, which we know in this fan base, people love to see people run around for no reason. He's got that to do because he's not the greatest at that. So there is going to be stuff to work on, but that's what a coach is for. That's what Daniel Farker would be there for, to get those in his game and improve him. And there is definitely scope to do that with a player like Jonathan Rowe, 100% to do so. But yeah, yeah, good riddance, David saying good riddance. Yeah. Not the American accent coming out. I thought I'd just put some sauce on it, JJ. You know what I mean? William with the super chat here. Thank you, William. I think the structure of the deal is why they rejected it. Gnonto wants to leave, but Everton and their style of play is probably not the best fit. Okay, William with an opinion there. So shout out to you, and that's peace. I say whenever there's something I don't totally agree with, or is just your opinion that I think is in, I say that's peace. All right, and that just solves everything. All right, that just solves everything. But yeah, William, you're entitled to your opinion, so that's peace. Sliced bread Ed will loan you Sancho. Listen, sliced bread Ed, do you know what Sancho would do in this league? He'd kill it. It wouldn't even be close. I don't think we quite got the funds for Sancho though, sliced bread. Something just tells me we can't even afford a quarter of his wages that you're paying him. Um Laurent here saying if Willie ever goes, just hope this doesn't affect the good vibes and confidence of us winning the league. I don't think it would affect the vibes or the confidence, Lauren. But if you're taking out a Somerville and Gnonto, and please no, but let's just say it now. If we lose a Jorginho, the team looks completely different. I mean, it's totally different. You've still got quality in there, but it doesn't have the stardust that it's still currently got. And even with the replacements we're talking about, a Jonathan Rowe, and even me mentioning Jordan James, those are not like for likes for any of the players that you would be potentially losing. But I still think that the club would still have confidence in the remaining of the squad and the replacements coming in to win it. But it wouldn't be such a slam dunk like I've been saying it over the past couple of weeks of we're winning this league. Because I still firmly believe that as we speak today. I still firmly believe we're winning this league with the team we've got, but we still do need to make additions because the squad is light at this point in time. All it takes, people keep saying as well, this is something else I got as well, which is crazy, but cool. People saying in the friendlies against Valencia, look at the team. We don't need much more signings, but guys, all it takes is suspensions, injuries, and then your squad is light. And it takes a key player going out for your squad to go, oh, we look very different now. And we kind of saw that with a few of the subs coming on as well. And I'm sure a few of those subs will do well in the under 21s, cool. But playing championship football is whole different story. Yeah, slice bread. Why are you always trying that? You know what? The thing is, you joke about that, Ed, but I think a lot of fans would actually like the way Brandon William plays because he's a nutcase. He's an absolute nutcase. Caspadino here saying, would be really disappointed if we end up spending 10 plus on Rowe. Think those funds would be way better spent in other positions. Yeah, and that's it. That's why the cost does not concern me because it's not coming out of my bank account, but in terms of what we can then spend on other areas, you will limit yourself if we go up to 15 million for Jonathan Rowe. And I don't think he's a 15 million player. Maybe the potential is there and we're paying for the potential for him to be a 15 million player. But at this point in time, with a year left on your deal, that additional year hasn't been activated. If you're talking 7 to 10, absolutely love that ballpark of a figure. That's perfect for me. But if you're talking 15, I'm saying I would go for Jordan James. And you're getting an all-round Swiss Army knife that can not probably get as many goals as Jonathan Rowe would in this kind of setup, but I think you're getting an all-round better player. But listen, Jordan James is still raw as well. There's still a whole lot he needs to learn. But that's what you do. You coach him. You coach him. But listen, we'll keep an eye out on that. See what happens with Jonathan Rowe. See if we actually make a bid. If it's rejected by Norwich, and we'll update on that story when it needs to. The other thing I want to speak about is the loan situation. Because obviously we've had word that that Rak-Sakyi, Crystal Palace have no intention of selling him. They're not interested in selling the kid. They want him to go on loan to the Championship. So if he's willing to do that and we're in the conversation, cool. Because Rak-Sakyi as well, lovely player, absolutely lovely player. And if you get him on loan, for me, that's perfect. That's what I would like. I'd like you to get people in the squad that can make it up with loan numbers, so we're not having to commit. And Rak-Sakyi would be far too expensive for what Palace are allegedly looking for anyway, if they were to sell him. But the other one, of course, as well, is Hugo Bueno, who is the left back from Wolves. Saw him play quite a lot last year. Let me just take a sip, people. Matt here saying, yeah, KG wasn't a 35 million player when we bought him, and he looks like a steal at that. Yeah, no, Matt, I completely get it, but there's a difference in that as from straight off the bat, Matt. We were in the Premier League there, and the way that you can play with money, the restrictions that you've got are way greater than we are in the Championship. So if you're spending 50 million on Rowe, and for me, he doesn't even start ahead of Gnonto to begin with. That's a hell of a lot of money to spend on someone that's a squad player as a Championship team in our second year of parachute payments. So there's the big difference there. When you're talking Jorginho, you're spending 35 million in the Prem. That's cool because you're getting Premier League money, Matt. And you're right. He does look a steal for me at that. And even when we was in the Prem, go back. I mean, don't go back to those match reactions because we were getting beat 4-5 once. Very depressing. But I was saying at the time when he was getting those little minutes when he's coming on when we're 4-1 and 5-1 down, and people are expecting him to do some kind of magic. I was saying, look at the player. Look at some of the deft touches that this kid is showing. Maybe he just needs some time to settle. And people say, nah, he's a waste of money, waste of money. But I'm saying, just be patient, man. We have not seen anything of Jorginho yet to suggest he's a waste of money because he kept on getting brought on when we was getting clattered. You know what I mean? But it's different at this point in time, though, Matt. We are working with a more restricted budget, so we have to allocate the funds a bit, a bit more generously. But if they think Jonathan Rowe is the missing piece to propel us to promotion, cool. But if we then short in other areas because you spent 15 million on one player and haven't recruited a left back, another central midfielder, if we go light, no excuses. You decided to get 15 million, Jonathan Rowe. I expect you then to deal with the consequence of that if it doesn't work for the rest of the team. And that's all I would say in regards to that. And yeah, Darren, yeah, of course he turned out to be 35. But that's what I'm saying. It was just people's patience. It wasn't there, but we was getting battered as well at the time. So I get it. Jeffrey here saying would love Rak-Sakyi on loan rather than spending 10 plus on Rowe, who at Norwich really don't want to sell to a rival. Get it done. Yeah. I mean, I would, Jeffrey, I mean, it's being greedy, but I'd love to get would I love to get both? Nah, not both. Get one or the two. Yeah, that's greedy. I would much prefer to get another central attacking midfielder. But going on to the loan situation, people, in regards to Hugo Bueno and Rak-Sakyi, the thing that is probably going to hamstring us in regards to this. I'm sorry, going back to Bueno, saw him last year, but I didn't really get to see a lot of him because when he played for Wolves, people, he either came on a sub or when he started, he got subbed off. So he rarely completed 90 minutes. I promise you, I'm not even making that up. Every time he'd come on, he'd then get taken off either for Eight Nori, who was coming back from an injury or whatever, or he'd be coming on for very little minutes. But you know what? He didn't look out of place. He's still a young guy, still developing. But what I'm thinking from Wolves is that they will want him to be loaned out to a team that he's going to play in, week out. And like Rak-Sakyi as well, who has got a host of clubs after him, Crystal Palace will want him developed. So these are the differences when we speak about loans, people. Where we got Joe Rothwell, Bournemouth didn't care. They just wanted his wages off the books. They don't care if he gets first team football because he's surplus to requirements. He does not have a future at the football club. These deals here are where Leeds United would be expected to play these players for a bulk of the season. And I do think that will hamstring us in both of these kind of scenarios. Rak-Sakyi, if he comes in, people, maybe he does, but does he realistically start over Dan James? Will Leeds United take out a permanent asset of the football club who had a real good year last year and who could potentially even have a better year this year, just to bring in Rak-Sakyi on loan and give him the minutes that Crystal Palace need him to get in order to justify the loan to Leeds United? It's a shaky one. Hugo Bueno as well. Is he I've said other left backs could come in and start over Junior Firpo. I would have said Harrison Burrows is one, Josh Doig is another. Hugo Bueno, does he come in over Junior Firpo at this moment in time? I would say no. So why would Wolves then loan him to Leeds United unless they expect him to get more game time at Leeds United, but not start every week? That's going to only be the issue, people. We've already seen Alfie Gilchrist from Chelsea. He's decided Sheffield United because he's going to get game time there, because he's going to be a regular starter. That's what Chelsea are looking for Alfie Gilchrist's development, and that is where we are going to fall short on a few of these loans possibly. And it all depends on what the player wants and what the selling club or the loaning club wants to do. Reese is saying here, don't see why Rowe Gnonto can't interchange position with one covering the 10 position when needed. Oh, yeah. Reese, listen, there's going to be a whole load of interchange. And what I'm saying to people, we're going to see Aronson play on the left at times. We're going to see Jorginho drift out to the right, play centrally. We're going to see a lot of movement. And Jonathan Rowe, by the way, can do that. I wouldn't mind seeing him up front at times. I think he could play the 10 if needed. But off the left is usually his main position. But you're right, he can play off right. There's going to be a whole lot of interchange in this season, people. Just be ready for that. But yeah, William here saying loans are great, but playing time for our players take precedent. Tough position, yeah, and that's the position we're going to be in. And also as well, people, people are going to remember last season with Leeds United, and that's going to be another red flag in terms of just how little and how badly as well some of our loan players were treated. You're looking at Jed Spence, who, by the way, people is back at Spurs and is looking to, Andrew's looking to possibly use him there. So, make of that what you will. But, you saw that with Jed Spence brought into play at right back. I paid a 1 million loan fee for the kid. And then we deploy him at left back because of our failures in the transfer market to address the left back area. You saw Jaden Anthony. I mean, was he even here? It's like one of those, and that will give the loaning clubs pause. Pause for thought in terms of loaning to Leeds United. They're going to say, where do you see him fitting in? And that's the difference between loaning a Joe Rothwell who's unwanted and a Bueno who Wolves will want to get game time, and of course a Rak-Sakyi who does deserve to start wherever he goes. Let's have a look. Yeah, Chopper Dave saying getting loan players in at this point seems more likely and preferable at this point. And I would say so, Dave. And I would have no issue with that. That wouldn't affect, when we do our rating at the end of the transfer window, that wouldn't affect it for me. Because I think it's smart business. Like I've said and repeated before, I think selling Kamara for money at the for what you got for him, getting more than what you paid, and getting in Joe Rothwell on a loan where you've probably paid just a loan fee and his wages is a far superior deal. I think you've actually upgraded there. So it doesn't always have to be that you're spending 15 million on a replacement or, a certain amount. It's about doing smart business. And we've done smart business in that area. But what are we doing now to address the other holes in terms of the fullback? It's going to be very interesting. Look, we'll keep abreast of the Bueno situation, Rak-Sakyi. I do see Rak-Sakyi going elsewhere because I think that other club, maybe even Sheffield United, by the way, could offer him first team football week in, week out, because they've got more holes to fill, whereas we don't. I could not see a lone player like Rak-Sakyi coming in and starting over Dan James. I just don't see it. And we know Danny Farker loves Dan James too. So, yeah. Reese here with a super chat. Thank you, Reese. KG, are you doing a fantasy league? I have a fantasy team full of ex-league players. You'd be surprised, plus Haaland to give it a chance. Yeah, I do have a fantasy league, Reese. It's in the description. And I've reactivated the league, people. So I'm going to try my best to sort out a prize, but I just find it ridiculous to sort out a prize for myself. What's the point? Why am I gifting myself something? One of those. One of those. But no, I'm going to try and sort out a prize for the winner this season. But yeah, the link is in the description if you want to play FPL. I'm not doing EFL. I can't do I'm not doing English Football League fantasy. Absolutely not. And I do NHL fantasy too, people. So I've only got time for so much. And FPL is the daddy of them all. NHL is something I've been doing for years as well. So I'm not going to discount those two to do championship. Absolutely not, bro. It might put me to sleep when I'm sitting the team. You know what I mean? But nah. But yeah, Reese and everyone else, if you want to join my FPL league, the link is in the description, man. I gotta say, my team is looking good. You know what the good thing about FPL, and I don't know Reese and everyone else that plays it. the way that the players are priced, because some of them are just so expensive, I think teams are going to look very different. Because you see it when we get to the end of the season in FPL, everyone's team basically looks the same. Everyone basically has the same players. And to start the league though, with the way that they've priced certain players, it's going to make it very interesting who's going to have to leave who out to get in some of the other big hitters. I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. Ryan just saying morning, boss. Morning to you, Ryan. The stream is finishing now, Ryan, but shout out to you. And anyone that's coming late, just rewind to the start and watch it, and there you go. Yeah, saying Haaland's 15. Yeah, and that's what I mean. If you get Haaland for 15, you're gonna have to make sacrifices elsewhere. But there's a lot of value, people, a lot of value. And the way that they're scoring some points as well, which I'm glad that they've put in. I still think that they need to do something for like defensive midfielders. I think what they did in the Euros was good, like recoveries, ball recoveries. That was really good because it made defensive midfielders really valuable. But the fact now that they're counting fouls against players, I got a couple of foul players joys in my team right now. I should be racking up the points just for that. You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the season kicks off. Is it next week? Yeah, but our season, people, kicks off this week. I'm gonna try and see if someone's free to come on just to preview the season and preview the first game against Portsmouth with me. If I can't, you just have to deal with me, which is fine because this is my channel, of course. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the season, people. Regardless of all this transfer stuff, I'm excited for it to get kicked off. Looking forward to the first game. And yeah, and like I say, people, the watch-alongs, match reactions will all be back in real time, so stay tuned to the channel, people. But listen, people, that is it for now. Unless there's any other news that will break later today or any updates, won't be back. But if there is, I will be. So just stay tuned to the channel, put the notification bell on so you know when I'm going live. And if you haven't already, please like the video. It really is important to the algorithm to do that. So like the video, it's free to do. Drop your comments. Join the channel as well if you want to give that extra support as well. Link is in the description or next to the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one, people. Peace out.